Hey guys, how y'all doing? It's your girl Root. Welcome back to another series. I'm still gonna try to attempt astrology. Okay, I'll be reading from my phone and out of book and different stuff like that. And Chiron, well, ACDC, which I did not know. Well, that's the group. Okay, what? Happy birthday, Sagittarius! Didn't want to forget you, gang, gang. And ACDC, the rock group. Now I understand. You know, I didn't even know I was saying crossroads the other day. Like when something is they hit divine sources hit you, they hit you. But ACDC, that's this part of if you know your natal chart, AC and DC, and it means ascension and descension. And the first house is Aries, and the second house is I am first house, and the seventh house, which is like called crossroads because it's right at the tip. Uh, Relationship. Okay, being alone, being in a relationship. I'm gonna read a little bit about it through each sign and how each sign might be like Sagittarius is here. So it might, when you get at the crossroad with ACDC, the ascendant and descendant, and we'll find out what they're talking about. Start off with that. Might be a little boring, but it's informational. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. My phone was acting crazy. Let's see. We got. I have to change glasses too. Ascendant and descendant axles. AXIX axis. Okay. Astrology. The ascendant and descendant lie at 2 points in of your natal chart, beginning at the first and the seventh houses, respectively. The ascendant or AC or rising sign lies on the left on the eastern horizon where the sun ascendant in the sky adorn. The descendant or DC sits on the right on the western horizon where the sun descended under the horizon at dusk. So it matters when you were born and everything, what's going on with you. These two angles may rule opposing houses, but they connect rather than divide or chart separate halves. The AC begins the first house of self. That's what I was talking about, right? Self, the first house. I am. Okay. Um, the domain of everything you are and see yourself as. These are the qualities you see and accept in yourself, which you wear proudly for all the world to see. Okay. Your sun may be who are in who are in the center of your planetary personality, your ego, your conscious, your identity. But your AC is the constructive image you decorate yourself. Okay, so that's that D Libra part relationship. Okay, decorate yourself. Decorate yourself with. It is how you dress, how you do your hair, your makeup, your nails, your shoes. It's the way you hold your body, the expression on your face, and the way you look out at the world. It's the personality quirks you tell people you have, what you know you are like, what you want to see yourself as. Your AC is a mask you climb into that you've made for yourself, the identity you've made out of qualities you like and admire most. Interesting. The DC, okay, in the relationship, on the other hand, begins the seventh house of relationship, sometimes referred to as your shadow side. As the opposite of your AC, this sign is everything that you aren't. These are the qualities you disassociate from, deny, repress, ignore, or refuse to acknowledge exist within your personality. It is the opposite of everything you identify as. So it stands to irritate or even infuriate you to be around you. Yet, curiously enough, You are the dawn to the qualities of this sign over and over and over again, and the people you meet and form relationships with. Why? It's an opposite attraction, sort of magnetism. Okay. Whether or not you want to believe it, your DC is still very much a part of who you are. You might not see it, but your lovers and spouses and everyone else in your seventh house will tell you it's there because that's how they see you. You see yourself through your AC, and partners see you through your DC. Interesting. You might initially deny it, but take a step outside of yourself and look at your actions through the eyes of someone else. And you may realize how unlike yourself you are when you are around someone you love. True. The ultimate task is to bring these two halves together, incorporating your DC into your identity and loving and accepting the parts of yourself you don't want to own to. You do this by attacking people, sorry about that. You do this by attracting people who embody these qualities into your life, forming outward relationships to unite the inner forces of your own personality. When you battle and resolve issues with them, you bring these two ends of your chart closer together. And when you can finally own up to the DC aspects of your personality, you will no longer need to circle through partnerships in order to become enlightened to your true self. Wow. Okay. Now we're going to start with ACDC sign placements. Okay. Then we have Aries, AC, and Libra, DC. And Aries AC sees the world through an egocentric lens of vibrant colors, easily sim- surmountable challenges, and high minded optimism. You admire your Aries qualities, identifying yourself as spontaneous, competitive, aggressive, enthusiastic, energetic, independent, athletic, and a take no shit, no nonsense type of person. Although you also possess a violent temper, short attention span, and an often off sense of fits combative personality. You feel no shame in these aspects of yourself and feel they are superior to their alternatives. In fact, everything you see in yourself is better. You are stronger, smarter, cooler, more capable, and more talented than most. And it's hard to call you cocky when you're right. Much of your lifelong success comes from your single-minded determination to win and the almost unbearable amount of confidence you have in yourself. So it's hard to tell you to dial it back just because your challenging persona makes other people insecure. Interesting. Your Libra DC stands opposite your Aries AC, which shows that to you, honesty, no matter how uncomfortable it makes people, is always better than this deceptive manipulation or pussyfooting around the issue. You call people out on their shit. You point your finger at the problem and say the first thing that comes to mind, no matter how rude or insensitive that may be to them. Rarely do you think to be more sensitive around certain issues, and rarer still do you apologize. To you, it is better to say what you mean and stand by what you say rather than say whatever you have to make people like you or feel better about themselves. If they get mad or lash out or try to argue with you about it, them on you take them on until either they've exhausted themselves or you get impatient and give up on them. Anyways, Taurus AC and Scorpio DC. With the Taurus AC, you wear yourself like a solid wall. Though at first you appear shy, quiet, introverted, or closed off, there's a hidden strength to you that suggests you are not a person to push around. Like the Taurus symbol, you portray yourself as easygoing, unemotional, slow moving, and stubborn, wanting nothing more than a plate of hot food, your family nearby, and a simple home in the countryside. You wear soft, stretchy clothes and have a natural beautiful look that is effortless and simple. Excuse me. You grope around for a quiet corner, a soft cushion, a cup of something warm, and a place to cuddle up in. You gravitate towards these things like they are pulling you in, and you stay in their orbit until forced to move somewhere else. In every day, you see yourself as uncompatible, reasonable, and irrational, a hard worker with a well earned, lazy streak, and a lover of the finer things in life. Thought it is, okay? Your Scorpio DC embodies everything your Taurus AC is not, and everything you do not want to be: unstable, cruel, hypersexualized, oppressed, aggressive, power hungry, and prone to explosive emotional outbursts. You cannot stand the whiplash inducing emotional extremes of your descendant sign, or the inner handed manipulation Scorpio uses to deceive themselves and take advantage of others. They draw you in with the promise of sexual fulfillment, ensnare you with a loving, almost therapeutic bond, and then lure you into a painful Venus flytrap of chaos and pain. They are afraid of vulnerability, but desperately want to trust you. So your relationships are bound to be filled with pushing back and forth. To you, it's all overcomplicated, over emotional, non-sensual, sensical bullshit. And the games they play are more pathetic than powerful in your mind. Now we got Gemini AC and Sagittarius DC. Talkative, friendly, Gemini AC. Talkative, friendly, highly social, and very intelligent, utterly rational, logical, and reasonable, able to mathematically analyze problems and communicate information in a clear and concise way. This is how you see yourself through the senses of your Gemini AC, as a light-hearted, curious, sporadic person who fits here and there, who flights here and there like a wayward butterfly, charming your way through flashes of colorful acquaintances. With this rising sign, your eyes sparkle wherever your mind stares, turning glaring off the heat of a potential lover. An exciting, controversial conversation, telling a hilarious story, or meeting strangers for the first time. Many with this ascended sign remain youthful well into old age because they carry this kind of infectious Gemini energy within them. Always, in fact, some say it keeps you young at the heart forever. So remember, I'm reading if your sign is in those two spots, okay? Having a Sagittarius descendant, DC descendant, then means that you have a strong distaste for foolish, distasteful, and boisterous liars. As someone who sticks to the scientifically proven facts, okay, the way things really are, you can't stand listening to amateur philosophers rattle off unrealistic ideas about what, excuse me, mm, the world could or could be like. And as someone who knows they are smart and knows they have a way with words, it frustrates you to be around rude, hot-headed, and tactless idiots who speak before thinking about what they are talking about. Wow. Now we got Cancer in the first house, Capricorn in the seventh house. Okay, that's how I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay, we got Cancer AC. When people meet you, the first thing they notice is how quiet and guarded you are. You sit in the shadows and stare out at the conversation, listening intently but not saying much back. That is because you are a very sensitive, intuitive, and emotional person. And being as empathetic as you are, you absorb everyone else's feelings and take them directly into your heart where they impact you in a very big way. It can be difficult for you to block other people's emotions and not confuse them for your own, or to not let someone else's energy personally affect you. So to protect yourself, you hide inside and reveal very little and don't let anybody get too close. True. However, despite this guarded nature, you still see yourself as a compassionate and loving towards those in your family or immediate friend group. You identify as a caregiver, sensitive to the needs of others, warm, understanding, gentle with children and animals. This is why your Capricorn descendant embodies all the qualities you do not see in yourself. It is a sign that is cold, rational, unfeeling, insensitive, hardened, and detached. It views the world through a hero, I don't know why I can say that, hypothetical lens, looking to see who they can use as stepping stones on their way to the top. This kind of dispassionate, snobbishness, super superiority complex is something you despise in people, and it's certainly not anything you would want to be seen as. Okay. Then we got Leo ascendant and Aquarius descendant. A Leo ascendant is marked by beauty, hair, a shining smile, and a childlike charm and innocence. Your dress is bold, stylish to capture attention, turning the spotlight onto you and striking designs and dramatic sex appeal. This is an ascendant that all eyes fall on and everyone follows, since you take center stage and lead the change in every situation. Maybe it is your shining disposition, the warmth in your welcome, the undying friendliness that you approach the world with, or perhaps it is your fun-loving nature, your creativity, or your entertaining character. Whatever it is, people love your Leo ascendant, and you love it about yourself. Okay. Would people still love you if you were the opposite of all that? If you lack warmth and charisma and instead were cold, detached, and uncaring? Probably not. That's why you keep your Leo ascendant where you can see it and throw your Aquarius ascendant behind you where you don't. Hmm. Aquarius is a sign that you don't really care much for, since it is the atonement of everything you dislike in people. Aquarius is unpredictable, being so many contradictory things at once that you never know if you are going to get their good side or their bad, or they are going to be selfish or selfless, invariably happy or withdrawn into broady silence. One minute they are committed in loving loyalty, and the next they abandon you to be with someone else, as if they couldn't care less. For someone who thrives on being special, on being the center of attention, at the forefront of everyone's hearts and minds, you hate how quickly this sign goes from fawning over you to ignoring you completely. But maybe that's the sort of thing that causes you to chase after them time and time again. Wow. Virgo AC and Pisces descendant. With your narrow eyes, a crease in your brow, and tightly pursed lips, people often get the impression that you are mad or upset about something. You could be perfectly happy and just mulling things over in your head, speaking quietly because you are dis- detached by what you are fixed on, but they will still get confused and think you are mean, grumpy, rude, or that you don't like them simply because you do not come across as particularly cheerful. It's just as well. A Virgo ascendant is cursed with resting bitch face, which hides the warm and loving qualities you possess under snobbish, distant facade. Okay. Looking out through Virgo eyes, you see a world of mess and mistakes. Your lens zeroes in on what needs to be fixed, what is out of place, what needs to be tightened or cleared or cleaned or spruced up. You see fault, stupidity, and problems that need to be dealt with. And nowhere do you see these things more than in yourself. You know exactly what is wrong with you. You're too anxious. You need a healthier diet. You need to exercise. You need to work on your accomplishments more. And you have a constant ticking reminder go off every time you don't do what you're supposed to do. But you also know that everyone else problems are. You also know everyone else's problems. They're stupid, logical, irrational, emotional. They believe in things without proof because they want a comforting lie to box up their fears in. They are messy, lazy, gullible, overly sensitive. They are everything Pisces descendant represents, and everything you deny exists within your own personality. Okay, okay, and it goes on. Okay, now we're going to flip it. Okay, you don't want to read that part? Now I'm going to go ahead and start with Cairo. I'm going to read out the book a little bit. That's a lot. Okay, that's a little bit what I was talking about. The crossroad, I call it AC to DC, and your ascendant and your seventh house, your first house and your seventh house. Okay, so go ahead and start with. Let's see. Okay, we'll go ahead and start off with what Chiron means. Okay, let's change glasses. Let's see that now. Mm. Chiron is Chiron. Chiron is wounded healer. We can explain that. Chiron is one of the most, okay, Chiron on the chart right here. It's this right here. My mom has it in her third house. That's your childhood hurts, what happened to you. And sometimes a lot of times, we carry it on to adulthood in our relationships, how we look at people, how we view people, whether we stay a victim or not, stay a bully or not, protecting ourselves, all that it calls. That's Chiron, Chiron is. Chiron is one of the most interesting and usually unusual bodies in astrology, in mythology. Chiron was a centrum, but he was unlike the other centrums who were quite base creatures. Most centrums had a human head and torso and the tail and legs of a horse, but Chiron had human front legs showing the more human quality. Chiron was a teacher, healer, and archer, and he was immortal. When wounded by a poisoned arrow, his immortality kept him living in agony until he gave up his immortality to Prometheus. Check that out. Because of the myth, Chiron is known as the wounded healer in astrology, and it is said that he represents the wound in the chart. If we look at the symbol for Chiron, however, it is shaped like a key. Same thing like the Kabbalah, right? Interesting. The Ankh, the key of life. Combined with the nature of the myth and Chiron's reputation as a teacher, mentor, and healer, it is more reasonable to see him as the key to healing in your chart. Chiron is also known as the rainbow bridge between the spirit, wow, and the matter, and the maverick shaman. Okay, hello. Chiron doesn't have rulership over a sign, but is associated with the constellation Centaurus and Sagittarius, and has many Sagittarian qualities, though some also associate the Centurion with Virgo because of its healing abilities. An unhealthy expression of Chiron would be to focus on the wound rather than the potential healing. A lot of us do that. Someone with Chiron in Aquarius in the second house, for example, may be born with the tendency to feel alienated from others, okay? And that may affect self esteem. However, seeking out higher knowledge and communion with the whole universe will give the person ability to see the bigger picture of their place within humanity. Okay, I'm gonna go through the houses with it, okay? Let me see, I'm gonna tell y'all what each house, well, I kind of read it already, right? When I read the first part of each house. Okay. Okay, the first house, okay, which I read. Okay. First house on the natal chart right here. It says it's house of self, inhale, day personality, what you project, life force, early experience, and abilities. Okay. Then the second house, that's Aries house, which is the Taurus house, the second house of moon, money. House of resources, exhale, night self-confident, values, relationship to body, physical world, how you make money. Boom. The next house, 3, Gemini. My mom had it in Gemini. She was a Gemini, had her Chiron. That's the third house, Gemini. And it's the house of communication, inhale, day, perception and observation, the voice, writing and communication style, early education, siblings, neighbors, transportation, and short journeys. Okay. Then we have the fourth house, okay, which is the Cancer house, family house, okay, on the natal chart. House of the home, exhale, night, inner private life, emotional and material security and foundation, fulfillment of emotional needs, self care type of home. Okay, then we have number 5, which is the Leo house. Let me turn this a little bit. Downstairs. Okay. which is the Leo house, right? And that's no, well, I'm on 5. Yeah, I'm on 5. I'm sorry. Yeah. Um, 5, which is the Leo house right here on the natal chart. Okay. Leo house. House of self-expression, inhale, day, creation, expression, joy, pleasure, play, hobbies, love affairs, romance, and children. Okay. Then we have the 6th house, which is Virgo. Okay. So we got it right here, 6th house Virgo on the natal chart. House of service and health, exhale, night, usefulness, service, daily routines and work, nature of daily work, health matters, cleansing, daily diet, and pets. I didn't know it was pets. Interesting. Then we have number 7, which is the Libra house. Now we're going into the descendant side, right? We left from ascendant, which is, I think, is down here, my perception. And that's the Libra house. The house of relationship and marriage, inhale, day, what you are attracted to and what you attract. Significant relationship, disown self. Okay, so you become part of everybody else, so you kind of lose yourself in this house. Okay. Uh-uh. I thought I left something on the stove. Sorry, y'all. She scared me there for a minute. Now, and Nick had bought some chicken and stuff. Sorry, yeah. I thought I left something on the stove. I ain't putting it on the stove. Okay, we have number 8, which is Scorpio house. Okay. So we're going into, like I say, the descendant Scorpio house. And the house of intimacy, exhale, philosophical issues, transformation and death, inheritances, and shared financial resources. Okay. Now we're going to Sagittarius house, which is house. Happy birthday again, Sag. Okay. This is the 9th house. Okay. And that is house of the higher self, inhale, day, expansion and exploration, higher studies and philosophy, personal beliefs, experience of divine, long journeys, and other cultures. Now, after, let me see if I can. After Sag, it's supposed to be 13 houses of Fucus, okay? But it's hard to find a Fucus. Let me see, can I find it? The 13 sign astrology chart. Let's see if I can find it, y'all. If it tells me what the 13th sign means. Okay. It says 13th sign is a Fucus, okay, which is would be the 10th house actually, okay, because it's between Capricorn and Sagittarius. Constellation of Goddess of Fucus, the snake handler, can clearly be seen emerging from Scorpio and leaping up to meet Hercules. Only her feet remains in the epicenter. She is the birth of the new, the power of the zenith, the culmination of Scorpio's lonely. Also, it's between Sagittarius and Scorpio. Okay. Lonely Vigo, Vigil. Astronomers recognize her as one of the Eponymous, Eponymous, original signs of the Zodiac. See, and they took it out. That's why I say a lot of us cannot be complete because a Fucus is not on this natal chart. Okay. And that makes us feel incomplete. We wonder why things are missing and we can't put everything. This is my perception. I don't know if they're going to take me off or not. But get ourselves together and know who we are. But it's coming. Okay. Everybody getting it together because they took the 13th sign, which is between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Okay. It says the Romans name female rule. 13 is a number associated with women and the witches, regarded as centers and evil, but they're not. That's witches, what they named them. That's a person who heals, know how to heal, know how to your midwives. The women did everything first. Okay, took care of the land, respected Mother Nature, the whole 9 yards. Okay. 13 is a part of lunar. Okay, wait a minute. 13 is only unlucky to men. It is a number of the female goddess. 13 is a part of a lunar monarch society that persuades the Roman Empire and was ruled by the moon. The Romans replaced the 13-month lunar calendar of 28 days with 1 day left over with their solar 12-month calendar. So the Romans did this. They took that out. Okay. Um, with odd numbers, days, and 1/4 of a day left. Like history books, the calendars were written by victors. The Roman destroyed the female power based by fire and steel, and Ptolemy likewise enslaved her astrology in service of Roman aggression, and his bloody Atrocites. Modern tropical astrology is a spawn of the apologists and the propagandism is of male tyranny, and its use is actually a genuflection to an ideology that represents the worst of human nature. So when you take something out, you know that it always messes up the whole everything, the whole creation. You know, we all finding the lies now. Okay. Ophiuchus is dangerous to men. Haters who are locked into a sense of false community will try to destroy the Ophiuchus. Maybe it's just as simple of the patriarch hating a female healer and crone leader, someone in contact with the secret source of a woman's power over death, which men cannot control. Boom. The icons are the snakes, the skulls of the healer, but also of closeness to death. So they made the woman, remember in the Bible, they made the woman and the snake. They said it was Lucifer and made her hate the snake, and the snake did this, snake did that. That's why I say it's more to what I read everything, but it's my findings is more than what they show you, way more, you know. Anyway, okay. The major problem with the baby boomer of Fucus has to do with the conflict of materialism and maternalism. Once is forced, the other is pointless to resist. The Fucus is always in conflict with the male, solar, 12 sign view of the world. They value the number 13. Remember, I told you they got movies on 13. The Romans turned women into slaves, and the Fucus has the pugnacity of the ex-slave, Pugnacity, still stinging from the lash or death by flames. A Fucus was actually experimented as a social class, exterminated as a social class. A Fucus was actually exterminated as a social class as well as deleted from the Ptolemaic calendar, taken off the calendar. We only got 12 months, you know, 12 zodiac signs on the natal chart. They are feared and hated as witches ever since. The Roman Catholic Church burned witches for 300 years. Okay, but what they did was they took all of the healing that the woman did and turned it into males doing it and made everybody rely on males. Not saying every male, like, not saying that. I'm saying the women did it first. The extermination only increased during the Age of Enlightenment with the acceptance of science and medicine. It is no wonder that a fucus can have a haunted look and often wishes to stay in the background. It's a very brave fucus that will stand up to persecution. Hello. November 30th to December 17th. That's a fucus. So that's in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, correct. Okay. So they took that out. That's why I say we can't get ourselves together until everything is complete. See, this is the real natal chart. Okay. It's 13 signs. I don't know if y'all can see that. 13 signs on here. Okay. Y'all can look it up yourself. Anyway, let's continue on. Okay. Now we have the ninth house. Did we do that already? Oh, yeah. Now we have the 10th house, which is the Capricorn house, which is really supposed to be the 11th house. Okay. And it's the house of the public self. Exhale, night, contribution, or mission in life. So, they put the 10th house, I'm going to say this right quick, this is my opinion. They put Capricorn, which is Saturn, that took control, which is the Greeks, the rest of them, and the planet Saturn, the aliens, whoever it may be at that time when they made their stand on this earth. And yeah, I might not like what I'm finna say, and made their God work, whatever. They took it from a few because the 10th house, because that's a powerhouse. They didn't want, I'm saying that wrong. I take that back. That's the ninth house. That's Sagittarius house. Because the ninth house is supposed to be a Fucus house. Let's get that right. Take that back. So the ninth house would be Capricorn house, which is the 10th house. And the ninth house is a Fucus house. Hope I ain't confused, y'all. Okay. Let me shut up. Okay. Anyway. Then we got 10th house is the house of public self, exalt, night, contribution, mission in life, career, public vision, and reputation, one of the parents. Then we got the 11th house. That's for another day. 11th house would be Aquarius, right? Okay. The house of community, inhale, day, groups and organization, friends, social causes, consciousness, humanitarianism, politics, including gender politics, internet connections. Okay. Then we have the 12th house. And it's interesting that they put internet connections because a long time ago, we didn't have the internet, right? When I grew up, I'm a 60, 70 baby, a 60s baby. So that's why, I love 60s. Okay. But interesting. Okay. Now the 12th house will be Pisces. So that's why they say what's old is new, new is old. So we got house of unconscious, mystery, mystical, meditation, altered states, chemical or meditative, transpersonal knowledge, seduction, retreats, monasteries, prisons, dreaming, empath. Okay. Now I'm gonna go to read out the phone, and I did write the first house first. I did put that down. I did do the wounded healer of the first house. Okay, remember the first house. If you have Chiron in the first house, this is maybe why you might feel this type of way. Let's see. Chiron. Okay, we'll start on here. Yeah. Okay, Chiron is associated with the emotional wounds we receive early on in our lives. Chiron is well dominated, but the house reaching my handwriting will show in which area the personality is motivated and into which they will put their efforts in the first house. It may indicate a journey of self-discovery. Possibly there were restrictions in early childhood that will have had the effect on you of either retreating into yourself or having to fight to be noticed. There will be a need to find personal meaning in existence. Some will do this by being overly aggressive, others by withdrawing, having a job or interest that is really enjoyed will give a positive direction to your life. Okay. You are here for a reason. Remember that. If you have Chiron in the first house, you're here for a reason. Feel like you don't have the right to be here. You can feel that way. To feel ashamed, broken, and inadequate, challenge Aries expression of the self, expression of individuality. Wound of identity. When we feel we don't have the right to exist, most painful wounds of all, because it is the most difficult to grasp. So you might feel that way. But the process is not always smooth. But the process is not always smooth. Our parents may, rightfully so, see us as an extension of themselves and may have difficulties in acknowledging that we are different human beings. And that is so true. We got some traits of mom and dad, okay? And you can see yourself through your parents, but we're here to do different jobs. We have different minds. So that's why it's bad to have your child try to do what you do growing up, try to plan their future. I can see when they're young, certain rules you have that for they're supposed to follow. But when they're grown, you're not supposed to plan their future because they have a mission here. Okay. Da, 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 da. Where did I start? Difficulty acknowledging that we are different human beings. It is not their fault. They do this because they want to protect us. But trying to force the child to become anything else but what they were born to be is incredibly damaging to the sense of the child's self. Shifting a child's individuality is more dangerous in long term than neglect and even violence. So that can happen. Challenging forces of psychosis unusually come from unspringing from unspringing upbringings. Challenging forces of psychosis usually come from upbringings where they were not allowed to be themselves, to express their unique identity. Okay. How to get over this? Wait a minute. I did put this in this file. Hold on a minute. Okay. Okay, we got um your child could feel like I am nobody. Identity wound. This is in the first house, okay? In the first house of Aries on your natal chart. I am nobody, an overall feeling of emptiness and disconnection. I am not enough, a desire to prove oneself. If I don't fit in, I don't exist. A desire to be like by everyone else, peer pressure. A tendency to copy other people, but at the same time, a lack of defining role models. Okay, so that's with the stars and popular girls in school and boys and all that kind of stuff. A desire to remain unnoticed, a fear of expressing one's opinions and beliefs, difficulty to connect with one's body or feelings, or on the contrary, a continuous to prove one's uniqueness by behaving oddly. So that's, you see what goes on in the world, why people do the things they do. A tendency to hurt oneself physically or psychologically, self-inflicted wounds, abuse of drugs, alcohol, medication, overworking, feeling numb. Okay, all those things can happen with this Chiron in the first house. Okay, you lose your identity, you don't know who you are. How to get over this? Address and heal the wound of identity. We are born with a wound. Be responsible for your existence, being present with your wounds, with your pain, and with your shame. Show yourself despite the pain. Do what you need to take the steps forward to be you. You have a mission here. expressing the divine in your unique way. You have gifts, talents, and skills to express. So I think a lot of understand your birth chart, kind of do some research on yourself, you know. So now I'm gonna pull up the second house, which is the Taurus house, and we have Chiron there. Okay, let's see. Go on my phone because I was tired of writing. Hurting me. Anyway, okay. Chiron in the second house. Okay. Trying to find China. You know how it is. You go to these websites. Okay, I don't like that one. I don't like this one. Yeah, go to the next one. Okay. Um,
She left her food.
she gave it to me.
What is it?
Them chicken things. I think you got some dirty rice. They're not dirty rice. You know what I mean? Shrimp fried rice and you know the chicken thing. Okay, second house. Chiron is associated with emotional wounds we receive early on in our lives. Okay, we know that. The sign Chiron in is in dominance, but the house placement shows in which area the personality is motivated and into which they will put their efforts. In the second house, it can indicate great self confidence, so long as there are physical comforts. There may have been little or no affection or even inappropriate affection in childhood. Check that out. This could now be shown through stubbornness and dismission attitude to others' opinions. You could be a great teacher of self worth when you have dealt with your own issues. Wow, that's a big hurt.
I want to eat a piece of this.
Yeah.
You want chicken?
Hey, I ain't had Nate meat in a while, so I was glad to see that chicken. Yeah, 'cause I do this often.
It's tempting though. I'm hungry.
I don't know. No, not being full. Huh?
I'm hungry now.
Okay, now we got Chiron in the third house. Chiron is associated with emotional wounds. We receive, okay, we got that. The sign Chiron is in wheel dominant, but the house placing which show blah 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 blah. We got that. Motivated and they will put their efforts. In the third house, it may indicate perhaps unintentional criticism by parents or siblings about the way you express yourself, producing a lack of self confidence. There may have been some injury to your voice, or you may have been too shy to speak. Your thoughts and words may take time to be expressed so as to be corrected. Any errors you make will be excused so as not to appear to be in the wrong. Do not let yourself be hampered by technicalities and learn to admit to your to mistakes. Okay, let's see. I want to see something. Where's mine? I forgot it. Mine is in the third house. Okay. Sorry, yeah. I don't remember where I put mine. I think I had it earlier. Anyway, okay. This one don't say a lot. So I'm gonna try another one. We're gonna finish reading it though. In the fourth house, it may indicate an insecure early family life, so much so that feelings of abandonment or being the black sheep persist. Wow, it's in the fourth house, and that is Third house was Gemini. Fourth house is Cancer. So feel like the black sheep persists. A lack of
Cancer,
self
hey.
confidence. Who?
Can.
Oh, tell him, hey, doing a video.
We're doing a video.
A lack of self confidence may make you think doing anything with your life is a waste of time. Don't think that. You probably have a lot of time for other people and have great empathy. Try to bring out the unique you by using this feeling of being different. Chiron in the fifth house. It indicates that's Leo house, right? It indicates a feeling of having to take life too seriously, too early. You are easily deflated due, probably, to parents who told you that you could not do that, though you would have known that you could. There will be a need to draw boundaries. Do not recognize it. Just do it. Then we have Chiron in the sixth house, which is the Virgo house, right? It may indicate a preoccupation with health issues, maybe to do with accidents when you were young. You tend to obsess about your own health. You have great healing abilities, and when you have come to the point of dealing with your own issues, you will achieve great success in this field. Okay. Then we have Chiron in the seventh house, which is the Libra house, right? It may indicate a feeling of rejection to do with relationships. Maybe the parents split up or were distant with each other. You may marry early, and there may be more than one marriage or close relationship. You are quite empathetic and even psychic. There is a need for finding a balance between you and your partner. You are not one person. Find yourself. Okay. Chiron in the eighth house, which is Scorpio house. You may indicate losses through the death of loved ones, but also gains through births. Personal desires will be very important to you, to the point of anything goes. You will have psychic abilities that, when trained, will be a great force for good. You could make a mystic with great insight. Ninth house, Sagittarius house, right? It may indicate some crisis to do with spiritual teaching, a strong belief of one sort or another that must be channeled correctly to give the right balance. Being the eternal student should be enjoyable, not stressful. So take time to relax. You could be a very good teacher if your extreme opinions are modified. 10th house, which is Capricorn house. It may indicate a strong desire to prove yourself, your self-worth, because of childhood rejection. Your need for status may become obsessed, and your good leadership qualities need to be controlled. Improving a lot of Improving the lot of others close to you is admired, but not if it brings you down. It will only make you feel resentful and bitter. Try to accept yourself as you are. 11th house, Aquarius. It may indicate rejection from peers because of being different. You may feel some sort discomfort. You may feel some discomfort in large groups, so you only associate with people of like mind. You have a capacity for leadership. If only you would loosen up with strangers.
Yeah, I try food before I eat it all.
We are, after all, connected to everyone and everything. You have a special thing to do. You have a special thing to do in this life. You just have to realize what it is. Chiron in the 12th house is Pisces. Okay. It may indicate nervous tension, perhaps picked up from a close family member. You probably have psychic, empathic, and healing abilities. Don't keep shutting yourself off from people. They need your unique abilities. Help others by learning to use these gifts. It will give great personal benefit but you will need to be emotionally strong and mature. Okay, I'm gonna read it from another one, y'all. That one was okay, but not enough info to me. Let's see.
What's about this candy? I got my eyes on
Okay. Chiron through the house, the natal chart houses. Okay, let's see what Rosemary has to say. Chronic wounds indicate the area where we have been hurt to a huge extent. We carry these wounds around us and are unable to escape them. The goal is instead to heal these wounds and use what we learned from Chiron for good. Okay, we explain. We already know what Chiron is. Let's see. La, la, la. Oh, Lord. Okay, we'll do brief again in first house. Chiron in the first house can seem pretty obvious to everyone else. Your chronic wound quite literally shows up in your sense of self-identity and self-worth. Chiron is very conspicuous in the way that you present yourself. If you have Chiron in first house, Chiron might also impact your physical health or appearance in some way. The wound often manifests in a physical nature as well as emotional and mental. For example, you might have been physically ignored, abused, and have a physical illness, or found some part of your body lacking, depending on the sign that your Chiron in the first house sits in. I found that Chiron in the first house can often indicate that the wound was either learned or cemented if it was first learned in a past life. So it has a lot to do with your past life as well. During childhood, something about this person's youth made this chironic wound an integral part of the outer personalities. That's what happened to my grandson when I was telling y'all he started having seizures and the things that he was going through. I think it came from his past life because whatever he would see would trigger. I said whatever he family had before this one, they were rude to him. That's when one of the lives. The other one I'm not gonna tell you about. But they followed him over to make sure he still had the pain. Because Chiron in the first house is related to childhood, these folks can hold on a minute, y'all. Hold on. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Girl, call Nick. Wait a minute. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? Oh, Jana let him stay over there. She didn't bring him back. I mean, they came back and got the stuff. Jana came back and got his stuff, and she just let him. She said, "I just let him finish playing with Belle till you come." Oh, okay. Oh, for real? Oh, she knows she's doing it.
The one who owned the shop, they was finishing the girl when I got there. And she started doing mine the last 2 years.
Oh, okay. She was ready to get out of there then. All right. All right. Good night, y'all. Be careful. All right. Love y'all. Bye. Going to pick up Mason.
Who being on Mason?
That's Nikki.
Oh.
Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. Oh. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. Because Chiron in the first house is related to childhood, these folks can carry the chronic wound through their inner child as they age. They may learn to hide it after a time, but the wound will always sit with the inner child. This Chiron in the first house wound will typically manifest in a person's outward appearance and personality. When you first meet a person with Chiron in the first house, you will see the wound right away. If you have this placement, look at how you feel around other people and how you present yourself. This will most likely point to the wound. Okay. For example, Capricorn may have felt ignored or but they also present a cold and stoic. An individual Libra may feel dependent on others even when they first meet them and become clingy quickly. Chiron is conjuncted Ascendant in the first house. These feelings were especially strong. Chiron in the first house is more likely to present itself physically when it is conjuncted with the Ascendant. Chiron in retrograde may be less obvious to others, but more obvious to the individual, although this is not always the case. Chiron in the second house. If you have Chiron in the second house, your wound is in the area of security. In some way, you felt as though you lack security, safety, or well being. This might be especially obvious during childhood with Chiron in the second house. This placement can show up in a lot of ways. This depends almost entirely on the sign that Chiron is in. For example, Chiron in Cancer may indicate a lack of emotional security or serenity regarding a house, while Chiron in Pisces can indicate a lack of spiritual security or a mental illness or addiction of a parent or caretaker. Okay. Chiron in the second house can manifest through security issues with inheritance, money, the home, spiritual guidance, spiritual security, emotional security, mental security, physical security, and so on. These people might feel like there is no guiding force in their life, like a parental security, or they may feel that they are COERCED. I know what that is. Coed, coed, what I don't know. Into decisions and can develop their own inner self, lack of inner security. So coerced, made to do something, right? I find that people with Chiron in the second house were often belittled in some way in childhood. They may have had little to no affection, or the affection that they did receive was inappropriate in some way. At the end of the day, if you have Chiron in the second house, you want to learn how to provide the security you were missing for yourself. You will always recognize that there is no true security on earth beyond believing in the powers of the universe and believing that everything happens for a reason. You will learn to discern that many social constructs are just illusions. I'm sorry. You will learn to discern that many social constructs are just illusions. By figuring out what's true for you and what the universe means to you, you develop your own sense of inner security. In the same way, it can be helpful for people with Chiron in the second house to take practical steps toward feeling safe. For example, if you feel physically unsafe, creating a safe environment in your neighborhood with a low crime rates, installing an alarm system might help to work through your Chiron. Okay? Chiron in the third house. Chiron in the third house has to do with your ability to process information mentally and communicate it. And my mom I told you she had this in the third house. Being from that era, she's born in 1925, and people was like, hush, hush, child shouldn't say anything. They really dominated her from her grandmother on down and made her, like what she said was not important. Even when she was getting abused, sexually abused, uh, by her father, she couldn't tell her mom that her mom wouldn't even let her get the words out, you know. And she just, being a Gemini, just let it go, believe whatever her mom said. Her mom was an Aries, you know. If you have Chiron in the third house, you might have difficulty expressing yourself and being heard. Sometimes you are easily heard, but your true intentions don't come across. It's easy for Chiron in the third house people to incur destructive or negative thought patterns, but they might alternatively avoid anything emotional and have difficulty discussing what they feel. Most people with Chiron in the third house fall into one of these two extremes. I find that people with Chiron in the third house often believe strongly in rationality and logic, but this is sometimes at the expense of developing their intuition or following their gut feelings. Alternatively, these folks will use only emotions and through logic and intention to wayside to the waste. These people, these folks will use only emotion and throw logic and intuition to the wayside. This is the what? The third house? Yeah, because I was intuitive and logical, and my mom, she didn't understand me. It was like, anyway, it's very emotional, had a lot of cancer. Sometimes there's even a bit of both. The third house can be a bit erotic because it is the house of Gemini. So an individual with Chiron in the third house might sometimes be completely illogical and emotional, but other times rely only on facts and avoid display of emotional empathy. So it's either or. It's two sides to Gemini. Sometimes we can talk for hours and enjoy each other's company. I mean, I think I'm the only child she could talk that much to. I also noticed that Chiron in the third house can relate to learning disabilities, such as dyslexia or ADD. I think she stopped in the eighth grade for a lot of reasons during that time. I think she got married early. She felt like she had mean teachers. Back then teachers were mean. I had some mean ones too. But they would pop them if their fingernails was dirty. They popped their knuckles, and then she, wasn't a popular girl in school, so the teachers would alienate them. Like if her cousin was more popular and their family had money, so the teachers treated, how teachers do. Some of them, not all of them, some good teachers. Very few of them, but there's some good teachers. But they would popular girl, they would, make them whatever, and the other child they would put them to the side. But that's what she had problems with. 'Cause she was slow to learn until she got a teacher that really taught her, with holding her back, she got held back. She said that helped her understand because she got a really sweet teacher that really took time out for her. So don't be mad, y'all, if your kids or anybody get put back. Maybe that teacher's not teaching them what they need to know. Or if you felt that way, and then you got one. Because I remember I graduated, but I went to job school because I wanted to get away. It was the quickest way to get a career. And I did not understand fractions. I'm still confused about it, but it was a math whiz that I had, and he broke it down so good till it was. I finished. I was. You have to take math when you get there, and I was stuck on fractions. So when he came, he wasn't there when I first came, but when he came, he explained it so good, I breezed right on through. These folks think a bit differently than others, and while there is nothing wrong with that, they inherently don't like their differences. It is their own judgment of their differences that are formed from society that caused the issue. Yeah, she never felt good enough. And then she was judgmental, so it was two parts to her. You know, occasionally Chiron in the third house can also refer to a wound with siblings. There may be past life trauma or wounds with these specific siblings. Or the siblings may just be unable to communicate effectively. This causes a deep wound and hurt for the Chiron in the third house individuals. Yeah, her mom had two sisters before her. They passed away. She had a brother after that. He was from a different dad, and they got along semi. He was a Scorpio, she was Gemini, and Scorpio doing their thing, and they got along. It was there, but her dad married her cousin, and they went to school together, and had children from her, and he didn't let the children acknowledge her as older sister. But the brother that was different dad was not his child, but he recognized her brother more than he did her. And despite all the torture he took her through, and the kids didn't respect her. Her and her sister kind of got close before everything ended. And she had seven brothers, and eight, including her brother from her mom. And I don't know now one of them. One of them came to the funeral when she passed. It was like, I don't know, it's like whatever. Seven brothers. Come on now. The way to heal Chiron in the third house is to speak your truth. Learn to value your own thoughts and opinions and practice balancing gut instincts with logic. You will develop your own method of communication with enough practice, but you must first let go of the judgment that either you or society has cast on your mental abilities. Okay, good advice. Chiron in the fourth house. If you have Chiron in the fourth house, your chronic wound feels most active when you're around family or other people from your childhood. I think that's where I got it. I think that's where I got mine, either the third or the fourth house. This placement means that your home life either failed to fill the void that your Chiron sign left in past life. The specific void would depend on Chiron's sign, or your childhood simply made Chiron worse. These feelings are always re-triggered when you feel like your young self again because your Chiron in the fourth house wound has become a part of your inner child. You might be very sensitive around family. If things go even slightly wrong, you can easily veer into loneliness or hopelessness, and I'm gonna disappear. That's what I used to do when I was young. Now I don't. I kind of, we cordial. Often, Chiron in the fourth house means that at least one of your paternal figures was absent. Yeah, my dad died when I was 3. Very sad. Very, very sad. We had moved to Houston and separated. And before it kidnapped, it was a whole lot before that. And then, yeah, emotional and mentally, absent emotionally, mentally, and physically. But this absence affected you deeply. You may now struggle to figure out where and with whom you belong. I'm better now, though. I found that this Chiron in the fourth house placements can lead to overachievement or anxious attachment to those who do stick around. Alternatively, the individual might become less attached than normal, avoidant attachment, in order to avoid getting hurt as they did when they were a child. There's a whole lot of truth in it. In relationships, the Chiron in the fourth house individual might struggle to let go, even when the relationship is unhealthy. It's difficult for these people to see red flags once they're attached. Oh no. I mean, I stay in there and try. I do. I haven't divorced, true that, but I left long 20 something years ago. I'm not gonna get abused, no, mentally or physically. I'm not gonna hold my tongue. I'm gonna know when to hold my tongue though, because I don't like altercations. So I'm gonna be ready, and they know that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna trigger somebody. When I say I'm triggering them, if I do trigger that type of person, I know that person, we just gonna have a debate, you know. But I know when somebody's gonna explode and try to hurt me. I've never been a fool. You know what I'm saying? But I know when it's time to move around from the person and not stay with them and treat them like the old folks say, treat them with a long handled spoon. I ain't never been retarded. But yeah, if you have this placement, you might be very good at naturally picking up on the wounds of others. Yeah, and I know he had big wounds. All of yeah. Chiron in fourth house means that you can be a great caretaker, but you can also get emotionally overwhelmed easily through that. You sometimes get stuck caring for people with wounds that they don't want to heal. That's why I'm on this channel. That's why people coming at me. I already know. But that's what I can't. That's what I mean, I think that's the only way of healing the world. Those things were put there for us to learn our lessons and heal ourselves. How we gonna go into a new age, a golden age of freedom with the same hurts from childhood, past life? You bringing all that same stuff. Very, hold on a minute, y'all. You got something on the fire, Jayla? You got something on the fire?
Damn.
You got something on the fire?
Yes. Wow.
Is something burning?
It's in the oven.
Oh, why you didn't tell me? Girl, I thought it was
Girl, you scared to mess on me.
I'm sorry.
There's something going on. I can't get nothing you said.
All right. I was wondering why I was getting hot in here, but I kept smelling that smell. Uh, oh my God. I forgot all about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. My grandson left these. Let's see. Okay. Chiron in the fourth house. You need to learn that you are the only one who can give yourself proper validation to heal. You also need to understand that you're good enough to be cared for by others and that you deserve more than what you ask for. Boom. Okay. Yeah, because what's the issue? I find that Chiron in the fourth house is always a lesson of worthlessness. No, we like that. But this is a quality that must be developed from the inside. I guess I kind of like working on it from childhood where I don't feel worthless. I feel like I'm supposed to be here, like I feel. I feel like I came here for my mom and my dad, most of my mom after my dad left, but to help her out for I know the things she went through, but that's how I felt. Chiron in fifth house. It is especially dependent on the sign that Chiron sits in. The fifth house wound is all about a deep hurt relating to the inner child, sexuality, romance, self-expression, or creativity. If you have Chiron in the fifth house, you probably hide what is unique about you, especially in the sign of your Chiron. You take many various reactions from others as rejection, even when they're not. Your infant wasn't given non your inner infant wasn't given non-judgmental freedom to play. So now you are hyper self-critical and aware. Excuse me. So what's a Virgo house? Yeah. You are afraid of how others would receive your most vulnerable self. To try and cloak this fear, you simply suppress that part of you. The Chiron in the fifth house person might be extra self conscious. It's hard for them to let go and have fun. Although I find that Chiron in the fifth house often manifests, no, this is Leo, I'm sorry, often manifests in this way. There are a few other ways it can manifest instead. Sometimes Chiron in the fifth house can be about children. You may want children but are unable to have them. So you live with this wound, or you might become hypercritical of your children because you don't want them to experience the wound that you felt. Interesting. Alternatively, the Chiron in the fifth house person might be wounded or betrayed by parents and by romance in general. The path to healing Chiron in the fifth house largely depends on the scenario and the Chiron sign. Learning to be vulnerable with yourself is always a good first step, as well as finding the will to create and shine, especially in your specific Chiron sign. The goal with Chiron in the fifth house is to live from the heart with honesty and integrity. Chiron in the sixth house, now that's Virgo. If you have Chiron in the sixth house, your woundedness plays out in the workplace or through working with community. You will see your wounds show up most often where you spend your days, work, school, etc. This is a tough placement for a wound because it's hard to escape it. The wound will also depend on a good deal on the sign that Chiron sits in. Some people with Chiron in the sixth house remember feeling different from other children in school, or they felt that their wound showed up over and over in the workplace no matter how they tried to hide it. Alternatively, the Chiron in the sixth house wound might also appear in the areas of medicine, health, and or disease. Sometimes a Chiron in the sixth house wound will show up both in day-to-day matters and health-related problems. This placement can also create OCD if Chiron is in a sign that is relevant to this disorder. With Chiron in the sixth house, emotional issues often become physical after a time. I had some friends, they was always sick. I don't know if they mama wanted, I love y'all, but they was always sick. Every time I visit them, they was always sick. The lessons is to learn The lesson is to learn to fully accept the self. Most of the problems that come from Chiron in the sixth house are because individuals is trying to reject the self in some way, whether it is because the self is impure, unclean, or simply wrong. Wow. The healing path is to realize that this is simply a false judgment and to work on accepting the inner self completely. Wow. Chiron in the seventh house. If you have Chiron in the seventh house, your woundedness comes through relationships with others. Libra house. It is being in relationship, often a romantic relationship, that triggers your wound. Although it always lies dormant under the surface, even when you don't see it. You may feel that you don't have a self with Chiron in the seventh house. You might try to emotionally merge or mash with your partner. These are the folks that may strifle themselves in relationship in order to hang on to the relationship. They feel that they can't express who they truly are. There's potential for these people to end up in abusive relationships due to the nature of chronic wound, but they might instead be stifled in other ways, such as Entering into a relationship with a partner who has a disability and needs constant care. Interesting. They always feel as though they need to sacrifice the self. Hmm. While Chiron and seventh house person may truly love their partner, they might also lose themselves in a relationship. Sometimes these qualities and traits are learned from parents or from role models early in life. How the relationship issues manifest will depend on the sign that Chiron is in. Hold on, y'all. Let's take a break. Okay. Hope this don't taste nasty. Okay. Herbs, not weed, sage, and some other herbs, some other herbal plants. Roses, dried roses, sage, soft flower, um, rosemary. I ran out of I got some cat's claw. It don't give you a buzz or nothing, but I know it's healthy. If you have Chiron in the eighth house, your wound has to do with spirituality, death, loss, power, sexuality, or money. This wound often has a lot to do with mortality. Hmm, interesting. Usually the wound is caused by trauma surrounding death. Hold on, y'all. Got some in my teeth. That's my mirror. Usually the wound is caused by trauma surrounding death, loss, control, sex, or financial issues to the max. Wow. This may have been, my phone went like stupid. Come on, I'm almost through. This one may have been a trauma that happened to you in a past life or a trauma you experienced in childhood that caused these learned behaviors. Wow. You are now terrified of what you learned from that trauma. Chiron in the eighth house especially creeps, creates a deep impact wound that can really hurt you if you don't work to heal it. I find that Chiron in the eighth house can indicate losses through death. You might be surrounded by a lot of death, or you might have lost many people in some manner during early life. This might even happen up through your teenage years, or it might just be something you're fearful of because of past life trauma. Wow. Alternatively, your Chiron will center around control. You may either try to control others in a variety of ways or give up your personal control and allow others to take control of you. Wow. Chiron in the ninth house means that your wound can play out in Sagittarius house. At birthday Sagittarius again. Chiron in the ninth house means that your wound can play out in one of many areas, including travel, spirituality, or religion, philosophy, ethics, morals, or higher education. This one can be a bit complicated to explain, so I'm going to try and break it down a bit. Firstly, with Chiron in the ninth house, you may have been wounded in some way because of the belief system you grew up with. You might either try extra hard to find a spiritual path to make sense of your life, or you may avoid thinking about spirituality or religion in general. These folks are either religious or spiritual fanatics, or they are completely agnostic. Sometimes they are constantly having spiritual crises that they just can't seem to figure out. They might have a need to find an external God that exists outside of and separately from themselves. Alternatively, travel or other cultures were involved in the womb. Sometimes people with Chiron in the ninth house, excuse me, grew up traveling constantly and never had roots, never fit into other cultures, or struggled to find a culture that they did fit into. They might feel like they don't truly belong anywhere. Lastly, the individual with Chiron in the ninth house may become delusion because they fail to live up to specific vision or potential that they impose on themselves. I find that this potential is sometimes imposed by the parents, but sometimes it is just the individual's desire to escape the womb through succeeding in a specific way. The person with Chiron in the ninth house will usually use ninth house meanings to try and escape the womb, becoming a lifelong traveler, getting immersed in academia with the fear of failure, becoming heavily involved in philosophy or politics, etc. Wow. Again, look to the sign that Chiron in the ninth house is in to determine how this wound really played out. The sign typically indicates the cause of the wound, especially with Chiron in the ninth house. I find that the most telling indicator of someone with Chiron in the ninth house is the feeling that they are a failure. There's usually an internal mechanism that tells the person over and over that they have failed, no matter how hard they try. Wow, that's a blow there. Don't believe that. Don't believe the hype. Believe you're a failure. Everybody have a role to play. You belong here. Chiron in the 10th house. Chiron in the 10th house indicates that your wound is related to career or your public image. The woundedness is played out in the areas of business, publicity, or the individual's need for recognition, apprehension, respect, and acknowledgement. I find that Chiron in the 10th house folks usually didn't receive much recognition or respect in childhood, especially concerning their purpose and what they want to do with their lives. For example, a Chiron in the 10th house child might have wanted to be an astronaut, but they were shut down by their parents for having too large of dreams. Wow. Now that I didn't do to my kids. I seen their gifts and I bought them presents at Christmas time for their gifts, their birthdays that they told me they liked, and I tried to encourage them as they grew. Now they decided to get with other people and feel like they didn't deserve to be what they wanted to be or choose a career just because others say that that's what they were supposed to be. That was not on me. They can't blame that one on me. I was not their mother. For example, a Chiron in a 10th house child might have wanted to be an astronaut. Okay, all right there. But they were shut down by their parents for having too large of dreams. Parents, be careful. Don't do that. Because of these lessons, the individual will either try to force it at all costs to gain fame, notoriety, or business success, or they will feel far too nervous to even try. Regardless of which path Chiron in the 10th house people take, there's a deep self esteem wound that was caused when they were told they weren't good enough to try or to succeed. Damn, we all got some issues. We shouldn't even be tripping on each other. Chiron in the 6th house. Chiron, I mean 11th house, my fault. Aquarius house. That was Capricorn square. Chiron in the 11th house is a wound relating to individuality and a group participation. It shows up in the areas of groups, friends, or community in general. The person with Chiron in 11th house will avoid expressing original ideas because they fear that they won't be accepted or understood. They might even enslaved by society in general or the way that groups think. Where it came from, y'all? Okay, Aquarius. They might feel enslaved by society in general or the way that groups think. They feel that they must confirm or else. Even though an individual might confirm on the outside, they might struggle to understand why the group works as it does. Their sense of individualism bleeds through and speaks to them. Hmm. Alternatively, the individual might reject society completely. That's why you see a lot of people walking around and, well, you don't say nothing. You don't know, well, don't say this. They got a wound. They feel alienated because they think differently. So they can easily become rebellious or destructive with the intention to hurt others as they have been wounded. I met somebody like that, a lot of people like that, child. That's why we cannot judge each other. We all got some issues. If you don't, you definitely should not be judging nobody. If you have Chiron in 11th house, the goal is to avoid either extreme and to instead see what you do have in common with society. Everybody got a purpose. You have these unique views for a reason, and you were sent here to share them and to transform the earth. Hello. How can you help by expressing your own needs and inner self in a positive and constructive way? What can you offer? Is there a group that will accept you because you bring something special to the table? Okay. Find your little circle. An individual with Chiron in 11th house is capable of contributing quite a lot of good to society. Healing comes from reconciling individual needs with those of society and expressing both a positive and constructive way. Ultimately, any individual with Chiron in 11th house will learn how to be an individual within a group and avoid losing themselves. Okay. Chiron in the 12th house. If you have Chiron in the 12th house, you might work very hard to hide your wound away. The wound might even be unconscious, even when it comes but when it does come to the surface, you feel the urgent need to stuff it back down. I did a lot of it. I put a lot of it back in my head, and when it came to the surface, y'all, it said. At the same time, you may cling to your wound with Chiron in the 12th house. These wounds often come from a past life, and it might feel like the wound is an essential part of who you are. Wow. More than any other placement, Chiron in the 12th house can be pretty dark and scary. The wound often revolves around fear from a past life and trauma that is buried in your subconscious mind. Chiron in the 12th house can indicate either mental illness or psychism. Spsychism. These traits are often ancestral. The wound itself may even be ancestral. Alternatively, this Chiron in the 12th house placement can also have to do with an incarnation of some kind. This could be prison of the mind, body, or spirit. Wow. So there you have it. Chiron in the houses. Okay. Okay, yeah. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Thought that was important as we all trying to get enlightened to something better. Trying to go into this golden age of Aquarius. I think we deserve that. If you research it, there wasn't a lot of healing back then when they tried to do it. Golden age, I researched it a lot. They still had control over people. They had their freedom for a while, but it went back the same way. So I don't know what's after the age of Aquarius, because if we reincarnated, we'll be back, or unless we learn our lesson here. I don't know how to go. I'm still researching on that. Some say you don't come back if you learn your lesson. So I don't know. So after age of Aquarius, because we have Pisces, I guess going back, it would be the age of Capricorn. So that's back Saturn under rulership again, right? As some say, as it's always been, we designed it. We all play different roles. We've been everything. We get bored. So when we come back, this is one thing I heard. We come back, play different roles. They would sign a contract on what role we're going to play this time around. And, whatever house we're going to be in, and play that role. And then we come back, pass away, whatever. Now, some people don't. Some people know about immortality. Look that up. You don't believe me? They ain't dead. They didn't die. Old as ever. Some people learn the formula, elixir, found the plants, therefore immortality, found a fountain of youth, found a way to get youth, live forever. Most of them disappear, either stage their death or just disappear. I know y'all seen a lot of places where people just totally left. Then they say some people, because we all from different planets, found their way back to their planet. They alien people came back and got them, and they went back home. And that's why you see they left everything. All kind of things going on. Some people are caged up somewhere in the crevice in the earth. One man found a whole nother alien life in a hole he went down. Sun and everything in it in the middle of the earth. Some say there's Andromedas, the women that were here, Fucus, as they call it, Fucus. So many things they say, Some say, like I did a thing on, that you can't get out to the cosmos because the archons have that snake around here. They say it's slowly breaking the dome around here. How would I get out anyway? I don't. They say we have the power, like superheroes. That's why they always show the X-Men and all of that. We just stripped it from us until we find out. So something research we're supposed to be doing on ourselves to find out who we are, to get those powers back so we can go to different levels. Then I remember I was reading this book the other night, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody. I didn't mean to offend nobody when I read that book, Archangel Michael mentioned he didn't understand why people looked up when, I don't know if y'all caught that, if y'all listen, look up to heaven to see that heaven is up. He stays down. So that's a mystery, Scorpio and me sure want to find out. I would like to finish reading it some more, because it was interesting, the information that was in here. Matter of fact, I might finish it, Um, but that was pretty interesting to me. But I mean, it's so many mystery things to do. And then for well, they say law supposed to be for some people because they do not know how to maintain themselves. They do not want to heal themselves. They do not want to go to another level. They're comfortable here. You have some that are earth people, earthbound, not saying earth angels, earthbound, that stay here, reincarnate in the same position because that's what they like. And they cause havoc or whatever, or just comfortable in doing the little things. And if that's what they want to do, it's up to you. But it's not when you get, disrespectful or jealous of someone else who want to climb up, crabs in a bucket, you want to pull them back down. That's when that's a problem. You know, uh, I think everybody needs to figure out who they want to be, what you want to be. Set your mind and change my glass. These people, figure out who you want to be, who you are. Find out who you are. I mean, research. Take a chance. Read something other than the Bible that you grew up. Read that first. A lot of people have not read that Bible. And study that. Take the time to do that. Read the Kabbalah. Read all cultures that you can understand. I want to learn more different languages and read how Latin and Egyptian language. Matter of fact, I wrote my name in Egyptian. It's mostly like animals and stuff like that, and human forms and stuff like that, because different letters people and different letter, stuff like that. I thought that was pretty interesting. But make up your own language. Why not? That's where Pig Latin came from. um I mean, live. Once we enjoy, you hear stuff here. Yeah, they might try something, but you already know, and you should be learning what powers you have to stop stuff. Because if they did do all of your DNA, if we did do that to each other, because I might have been whatever is doing whatever today, I got that somewhere in my DNA, so I can know how they think. And then if they put so many DNAs inside of you, if you really put everybody out the way and really sit with yourself and get all the negativity out, that's what some of the chakras, but some of them chakras, 7 come from the archons as well. So that's something to be researching on. But you can hear and you can know what's next. um, what happened a long time ago. I asked my ancestors from the beginning, tell me what's going on, what they're going to do next, blah, 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 stuff like that. Um, Prepare. It might be something different, but it's going to be a twist. But they do what's old is new is old. They put a twist in it, intertwine it, or whatever together. But teaching, what people, somebody needs some help and some love somewhere. And I'm the type that if that's why, see, I guess that's why I do this. Because when I was growing up, some things I didn't understand in school. Some things I was good at. I used to read and help people learn how to read in school. I liked doing that. Different cultures. But certain things I didn't understand. Like I was talking about the teacher that I couldn't learn from other teachers certain things, but it was some that taught me. So that's why I do it in so many different ways, to reach so many different people because everybody learn in different ways. And that's just how I do things, I break it down in different ways for everybody to kind of understand. Everybody don't catch on fast. Um, so yeah, I guess that's all I'm gonna say, y'all. Yeah, so hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm done. I think that's all I want to do today. Well, right now, anyway. If I think of something, I'll be back. Or might download it. My downloads take like hours and hours and hours. But anyway, all right, y'all. It's your girl, Rupe. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope it made sense some type of way, okay? And y'all have a great night. And love y'all. Take care. Okay? All right, bye.